No. Okay. What do you think, Pippi? Pippi and I are doing our morning walk. We've been walking for at least half an hour. And she wanted to take me into the forest, so she just had a little sip of water in her spring-fed stream in the mountain. Our most reliable source of water during the summer. And we're crossing the bridge that I think some younger folks have put up for their mountain biking and fat biking. I can see quite a few tire marks as we're going up the hill. One of our steeper climbs we just finished. And I'm trying to keep her on the shorter loop today because I'm tired. And she's not showing any evidence of the limp that she had a couple of days ago. So we're going to see, we're coming up to a fork. Going left is shorter, right is longer. And they're probably the two paths that we take the most, particularly when snowshoe season arrives. And it's pretty humid. It's about 18 degrees Celsius. And you can feel the dampness. There was some rain overnight, nothing major. And I'm a little bit out of breath because of the climb. But that's why I'm doing it. I'm trying to keep myself alive with my buddy Pippa. So here's the fork coming up here. We'll see. I bet you she goes right. I don't know, but I'll bet. See, there you go. She's going right. So that means we're walking for another half an hour. Sun is popping out. I think it's a mix of sun and cloud. If I recall, there's supposed to be about 5 millimeters of rain today. And we can still use the rain. Hey, Pippi? We can use the rain, pup. So yesterday, I finally got myself worked up to do a sketch of my puppy. I'd had a photograph of her sitting for about 2 weeks, and I said, geez, this is going to be a tougher one to sketch out than the trees and the straight lines and whatever else. So it took me quite a while to work up the motivation to do it. And yesterday I went out on the deck and I took the photo, and I took the 4 or 5 pencils that I got. They're all black graphite, and forced myself to get started. I laid out some grid lines on the photo and then some grid lines on the piece of paper so I get the proportions right. And what I find, I don't know how many folks are out there that are artists. I'm not an artist, or at least I've never done anything until my last birthday, 70th birthday. I decided that I wanted to try it probably last Christmas when I was mulling what I'm going to do for 2020 before we even knew about the pandemic and things like that. And I went and looked up some things on the web, some basics. I've forgotten some of the terms that I learned. I have to go back and relearn the terminology for some of this art work. Anyway, I'll do that. And I watched a couple of painting episodes on the web. Somebody I'd seen before on TV. I forget the guy's name. He's got big frizzy kind of reddish hair. So anybody that's out there that is an artist or has interest in art probably may have seen him, because I think I've seen him 20 or 30 or 40 years ago. Anyway, I watched to get some techniques, get some ideas of how to approach it. Like, do you start with an outline? To me, I thought would be fairly obvious, which is what I did yesterday. and changing the leads to try to get darker or lighter, and the textures. I'm using the side of the pencil point and using an eraser that erases or an eraser that kind of smears. I think folks will know what I mean when I say that. And by no means have I mastered the techniques, but at least I got a start at it yesterday. And when I was finished, actually, before I got finished, what I thought would be the real challenge would be getting the eyes. And I think they still are the challenge. But because of the photo and the way Pippa was postured, her eyes were really not, let's call it, front and center. They were, because of the lighting and because of the way she was sitting in her natural black fur, they were really there, but not, not pronounced. So I think I got her eyes reasonably well for the first crack. And I think I got her nose reasonably well, except that I think it's slightly off angle, but so what, for now. And getting the fur texture, like she's got 3 colors, white, and let's call it tawny, and black. And even the black has got hints of brown in it when you're in bright sunlight. So after, it took me about an hour, I guess, maybe a little more. And when I was finished, or close to finished, I was pleased that it wasn't it wasn't a muck-up. So that kind of gives me some encouragement to try again. Like for my birthday, I got a bunch of acrylic paints and associated equipment, and I'm in the process of finishing off a few palettes, painter's palettes, in the shop. They'll probably be done today. I'll put a 4th coat of varnish on. And my next thing to do then would be find a photo that I like, maybe Pippi or maybe not, I don't know, and take a step in to the world of painting, mixing colors, etc., using the brushes or brush to get certain textures. And we'll see how that goes. But anyway, that's one of my little objectives for certainly this year. We'll see how well I do. Anyway, well, Pippi, you're pulling me a little quicker pace today. So I'm not going to talk about politics today. All I'm going to say is that the pandemic numbers are ugly, 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 in the U.S. particularly. But you look at Brazil, and you look at Russia, and you look at India. Now, Brazil, Russia, and the United States are dictatorships, or want to be dictatorships, and certainly very poorly managed as far as the crisis is concerned. And the numbers reflect it. We're not going that way, Pip. That's the way to the beaver pond. And I certainly don't have the energy to go all that way today. Okay, so we'll sign off. By the way, we saw a deer coming up our driveway yesterday, but I couldn't get the camera out fast enough before it disappeared. So we'll try to keep an eye out for some wildlife. And if it shows up, we'll share some images. Signing off.